A woman wakes up one morning and decides she will no longer eat meat. It sounds like a harmless lifestyle choice, but in this story, that single passive decision acts as a ticking time bomb that infiltrates a perfectly ordered life and completely tears it apart. That story is Kang's internationally acclaimed novel, The Vegetarian. This is the opening page of the novel. The story begins from the perspective of Mr. Chung, a man defined by a chilling level of apathy. He openly admits that the first time he met his wife, Young Hae, he wasn't attracted to her. He married her precisely because her timid, sallow aspect proved she was completely unremarkable in every way. Their relationship operates entirely on convenience. There is no romance, no deep connection, and no conflict. She wakes up at 6 every morning to prepare his rice and soup, does her piecework from home, and rarely speaks. To Mr. Chung, her passive personality is an asset that secures his comfortable, mediocre reality. Then, he wakes up at 4 in the morning to find her standing barefoot in the dark, throwing away hundreds of dollars worth of beef, pork, and eel into black rubbish bags. His carefully ordered existence shatters instantly. When he demands an explanation, she offers only one terrifying justification. She keeps having a nightmare. She describes a dark woods, torn feet, and a barn filled with endless blood-soaked gashes of meat where she finds herself chewing on raw flesh. To Mr. Chung, her sudden refusal to consume animal flesh breaks the unspoken rules of their arrangement. She is aggressively rejecting the baseline human behaviors that hold their quiet life together. The tension quickly spills out of their isolated apartment and into the broader culture, a space governed by rigid hierarchies and suffocating expectations. Mr. Chung drags Young Hae to a high-stakes dinner party with his boss and company executives, a space where every gesture, every piece of clothing, every bite of food is scrutinized to ensure everyone is playing their proper social role. Young Hae arrives wearing a thin shirt without a bra. When an exquisite dish of beef and jelly is placed in front of her, she quietly announces she won't eat it. The other guests stare at her in absolute horror. The executives go on the offensive. They argue hunting and eating flesh are natural human instincts. By refusing to participate, Young Hae's pacifism is framed as an abnormal, narrow-minded attack on their choices. Polite society demands complicity. Refusing to engage in daily, accepted forms of violence makes people uncomfortable. To restore order, the group uses condescension, pity, and shaming to force her back into line. When social shaming fails, the pressure escalates into authoritarian physical force. A family intervention is called, ostensibly to help Young Hae, but it quickly devolves into an interrogation. The patriarch of the family steps in. Her father wields his military background in the Vietnam War as an unquestionable badge of authority. He expects absolute submission, especially from his daughter. As she refuses plate after plate, his anger boils over. He slaps Young Hae across the face, commands her brother to pin her arms down, and violently forces a piece of sweet and sour pork between her lips, mashing it to a pulp against her teeth. The people demanding she return to normalcy are the ones committing active physical atrocities in the middle of a dining room. This brutality isn't new. It traces back to a childhood memory where Young Hae watched her father tie a dog to his motorcycle and drive in circles, torturing the animal until it vomited blood and died, before serving it at a neighborhood feast. Her husband's hypocrisy is equally glaring. He plays the long-suffering victim of a crazy wife, yet he casually recounts coming home drunk, pinning her down in the dark, and ignoring her struggles as he forces himself on her. Young Hae is entirely surrounded by a culture steeped in violence. Stripped of her agency and ignored, her physical body becomes her only remaining site of rebellion. After her family forces the meat into her mouth, Young Hae grabs a fruit knife and slashes her own wrist. The narrative moves to a sterile hospital ward. Here, the medical establishment and psychiatric wards take over. When the family fails to break her, the hospital steps in as the ultimate institutional enforcer of societal norms. Mr. Chung tracks her down the next morning. He finds her sitting on a bench in the sun, her hospital gown discarded, her bare chest exposed. Her stitched wrist is leaking blood, and in her hand she is gripping a small white-eye bird she has crushed to death. She realizes she cannot escape the inherent violence of being human. To exist with teeth and hands is to consume and destroy, whether you want to or not. This is the title page for the book's second act, Mongolian Mark. The narrative structure fractures, shifting away from the husband and handing the story to someone new. Her tragedy is hijacked by her brother-in-law, a video artist suffering from a creative block. He watches her wasting away, but he doesn't see a traumatized victim. He sees a blank canvas. He becomes obsessed with a birthmark on her body, using her physical deterioration to fuel his artistic ambition and his own sexual fetishization. The vegetarian exposes how society requires us to be complicit in its daily brutality. When an individual rejects that contract, the collective culture uses shame, physical force, and institutional isolation to break them down, leaving self-destruction as the only